Hey guys, happy Monday. In today's video, I'd like to do a deep dive analysis, cover the latest updates around the Wall Street and Bitcoin market. I'll also be doing technical analysis of Bitcoin as well as MicroStrategy, along with sharing with you the latest updates that we've been hearing. Now, most of you are wondering, are we going to see a bounce back of Bitcoin price as well as MicroStrategy, or will we continue to see more bloodbath here? Lately we've been just seeing so much market uncertainty, volatility. Today was another beatdown, especially with Wall Street. However, we saw signs of hope with Bitcoin price, hovering around the $83,000 while Wall Street, a lot of the stocks, took a bad beating today, especially with Japan ending the market, just with a red down day. Now, with Liberation Day coming up, with April 2nd coming very soon here, with Donald Trump announcing more information around reciprocal tariffs, is this going to have a reverse effect where we potentially see the market start going back up, or are we going to continue more market uncertainty where we may very well experience a recession? Now, what we know is that for a recession, it happens once every 6 years. With market corrections, we typically see that once every, 2 years, which we've seen a correction with Wall Street already. Now, I don't have a magic 8 ball to tell you which scenario is going to play out, but there's possibilities of either scenario to play out, and it all really just depends on how the market sentiment is going to be based on where we're going to see with the tariffs here. We're looking at the technical analysis of Bitcoin. So what we're seeing here is, price hovering around that sub 83,000. In fact, it's at 82,766 per the price of each Bitcoin here. We're wondering whether we're going to see market participants take the price up. Just with the course of the month of March and February, we've been just seeing retracement. Yes, it's consolidating in the $80,000 range. We've seen Bitcoin consolidate from November all the way through January in the $100,000 range. And just with the last couple of months, it's just been retracing. Q1 has been a bad, quarter. However, April tends to be a positive, growing month for Bitcoin price, but you never know. April may be a month where it just continues to retrace down. Question is, are we going to see Bitcoin price, reach again below 80,000? It's very possible that that's going to happen. Obviously, we saw Bitcoin price, reach 76,000 back in early March. Question is, how low can it possibly go? I definitely do think that, somewhere below 70,000 is not out of the equation there, but where can Bitcoin potentially run back up? At one point, we saw that, that Trump pump several weeks back where it went from like, 70,000 all the way back to like mid 90,000, and then it dropped back down. So I definitely do think Bitcoin does have that potential for a godlike candle where it can just run back up into the 90, $100,000. We're ending Q1 as of today, March 31st, and it looks like we're going to be, around that low 80,000 per Bitcoin here. Now, most of you are wondering, are we at the end of the Bitcoin bull cycle? Historically, Bitcoin tends to run for 3 positive years before it enters a bear cycle. So 2025 would be a year for another bull cycle, but you never know. Things can change, especially with market dynamics changing, with, the political geographics, with a lot more market sentiment, investors in Bitcoin. Things don't just happen the same way that it does historically. So we may very well see things change here. And what does that mean? We may see more volatility with Bitcoin. We've seen that in 2022 where the price dropped down even further. So I definitely do think that volatility is something not to ignore right now. But overall, from a long-term perspective, Bitcoin price will continue to go up based on just technicals of MicroStrategy. So today, we didn't see much price action with MicroStrategy. It was nice to see it, push back up, especially with the market opening. Lots of stocks were in the red, but then overall, towards the end of the market, it climbed back up, even though most stocks were in the red zone. Current price action right now at $288. Good signal is that, we've well beyond past that support line of like 220. What we saw previously was the price action getting back up to that, prior resistance of like 340, 350. I think over the course of time and month of April, we may very well start seeing more market participants take the price up, where we will see that prior resistance be the new support line around the $350. And it really just depends on EMA, price action, volume increasing with relative strength increasing. We may very well see price of MSTR get back into that $400 in the month of April. So it's all dependent on price of Bitcoin, but we may very well see a breakout with MSTR stock, especially since it's been just hovering in this bullish pennant flag for many months now. So it's been retracing down, consolidating, since its prior all-time high of $550. So we may very well start seeing this consolidation U shape up. You never know. The price action, it may just hover around this boring channel for more time here, but I think it's only going to be a matter of it going up over the course of time. We're looking at just public companies that own Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy, they're at 528,185,000 Bitcoins. They're getting close to about 3% of the total amount of Bitcoins out of the 21 million shares available when it comes to Bitcoin. There's truly no second best here. I mean, not even the second place company has close to 100,000 Bitcoin. Second most is 46,000 Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy has created that big disparity. And can you imagine how big of a company MSTR will be once the price of Bitcoin becomes like 1 million a Bitcoin? We're looking at Michael Saylor's posting. So MSTR today announced that they acquired 22,048 Bitcoins for $1.92 billion dollars at 86,000 per Bitcoin, and has achieved Bitcoin yield of 11% year to date in 2025. So as of, yesterday, MSTR holds about 528,000 Bitcoin at an average price of 67,000 per Bitcoin. Now, there's a lot of talks about how strategy over the last 5 years, they've been buying Bitcoin, but they've only had a gain of like 20%. Yes, granted, that's 20% gain, but you're looking at it through the lens of Bitcoin going up to its all-time high of 108, and it's just dropped all the way down by like 30%. But when you look at it from a long-term perspective, this amount that's on their treasury, 528,000, it becomes more and more difficult to buy Bitcoin. And given that it's a limited supply here, that's not even factored in. So over like the next 5, 10 years, it's only going to be much higher price of Bitcoin. So the exponential increase of Bitcoin hasn't been factored in, even though, yes, with this whole 5 year investing into Bitcoin, it's only up 20%. That's because Bitcoin just dropped significantly. So, yes, that hasn't performed similar to like S&P and all that, but I think that in the long-term course, this big time hodl of Bitcoin is only going to make MSTR a multi-trillion dollar company and one of the biggest companies out there at one point. So we're looking at strategies, just Bitcoin acquisition purchase here. So today was a big announcement where they acquired one of the biggest amounts since who knows, back in 2024 when they purchased 27,000 Bitcoin at the price of 74,000 per Bitcoin. So with this amount of purchase of $1.9 billion, just with Strike and Strife ATM increase, with the convertible note at 0% interest. This has really attributed to Strategy's big time purchase today. And now they're getting closer towards, 600,000 Bitcoin holdings. So getting to that next milestone of having 1 million Bitcoin holdings on their treasury. So this is going to be just big here because at one point, strategy is really going to transform traditional finance and, be one of the biggest companies out there. We're looking at a post from Fiat Archive, and we've heard today that, Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, they invested in a Bitcoin mining company, taking a 20% ownership of a subsidiary, which is HUT 8, where they're going to brand that company Bitcoin American Mining. So 80% is going to be owned by HUT 8, 20% is going to be owned by Eric and Donald Trump Jr. So this is big time market sentiment here around the Bitcoin ecosystem because you can't have Bitcoin miners succeed without Bitcoin succeeding and vice versa. So obviously we've seen a bloodbath in the Bitcoin miners as well as Bitcoin recently, but I think over the course of time we're going to see seasonality kick in here and have things go in reverso mode. With that, I want to play a quick video clip of Michael Saylor. So Saylor, take it away.
I laugh, Dave Portnoy complains about buying it at 10 and panic selling it. And then he's like, oh, I bought it at 40. And, I hit the wrong button, all these things. And now it's 100,000. And what I've said, and I said this to Tucker Carlson on television, I said, I'm going to be buying the top forever. I mean, here's what I tell you. When Bitcoin's $1 million a coin, I bet you I will probably buy $1 billion of it at $1 million a coin, probably in one day. And when it's 2 million, I will probably be doing it again in one day. And when it's 10 million, I will be doing $1 billion or more in one day, right? And so we're not stopping.
So there you had it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know what your comments, where you're watching from, what your thoughts are. I love to read through all the comments. Stay tuned. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.